remember the very first event? And what
The very
year was
first,
that?
yes, the very first event happened in 1985, actually. That was the first All-Star that we ever did. That was the first All-Star Nationals that was ever done. And Carol and I actually coined the word All-Star in 1984 because we were worried about our high school nationals because there's a number of teams that were coming that were truly not high school teams. It was like Gulf Breeze, and there's a group from from Georgia. There was just a collection of different girls, but they had permission from their state to go compete. And so a couple of those years, those teams were getting a little higher in the rankings. And one year, one of them placed third. And so Carol and I put our heads together and just said, we need to have a little conference. And so a bunch of us from the NCAA staff went into the conference room, and about a half hour later, we came out and we said, okay, we're going to call them All-Star. And then the very next year is when we had our first All-Star event. It was not real huge, but it certainly has become huge now. Because I guess on this.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
I was going to say that's pretty interesting. I deal with that on a much, much smaller level. We do a little local rec competition, but the folks get a little heated when they believe that someone has put together a team that are comprised of kids from all over the place. So I can imagine that these high school teams were kind of the same way. Hey,
right. I mean,
they're coming from the same school, so.
We got a lot of feedback about that.
I bet you did.
But that's why we took action on it. And because when All-Star first started, it was really not the competitive nature that it is today. It was really, really begun because it was a training place for kids that couldn't make high school teams or junior high teams. As a matter of fact, I owned the Cheerleading Center for like 12 years, and that I got that name from Herky. Literally, I didn't pay him, but he said, I'm just going to charge you $10 and you can use that name. And so I used that for about 12 years. And that was really, we just recruited kids that could not make a regular school team and trained them so that they did. And we were very successful at that. I can't say that we were an all-star gym at the time, but we did have an all-star, the Cheerleading Chili Peppers. I remember that. They competed one time at NCAA and they did not do very well. Thank goodness.
Right, I was going to say, if they did, that would have been your next issue, right? That you would have had to deal with.
No kidding.
Well, Lance,
Especially
I know
since I was announcing the event.